They don't know where to place you, not in a file, not in a category, not even in the systems they trust more than instinct. But when the footage surfaced, that boardroom, that city, that series of collapses, the agency didn't ask what happened. They asked, who was that? Not just a murmur among interns. The CIA, the central architects of control, the kings of classified. And yet even they sat back in those oxygen-locked rooms, watching your movements, pausing every frame like they were studying an apex predator they forgot to catalog. This isn't just skill, one of them said. This is something we taught, or should have. Except you were never in their system, never under their payroll, never briefed, tagged, or recruited. And that's what disturbs them the most. Because you played their people, not like an amateur who got lucky, but like someone who designed the battlefield. You moved like doctrine, but didn't carry the stench of loyalty. You knew where the eyes were. You knew where the ears were. You spoke just enough to spark doubt, just little enough to leave nothing to pin. No postures, no anger, no outbursts, just results. Clean, eerie, devastating results. They ran facial scans across every internal database, NSA, FBI, Five Eyes, Allied contractors, ex-operatives, Black Ops dropouts, Psywar tacticians. Nothing, no match, no digital trail, not even a history glitch. One senior analyst leaned back and said, "That kind of precision? That's trained, military, has to be, but not ours." What scares them isn't just what you did. It's what you didn't need to do. No weapons, no threats, no force, just presence. And after you left, the rooms you entered became war zones of self-destruction. CEOs resigning within weeks, political advisors suddenly switching sides, entire private security firms tightening protocols without understanding why. The CIA noticed. They noticed everything. And the word they started whispering wasn't suspect. It was operative. Followed by, who's operative? Now they've launched internal checks. Not on you, on themselves. Because your tactics weren't improvised. They were etched. You understood power structures like someone who had torn them down before. You broke people without touching them. You triggered collapses without being seen at the fault lines. You didn't just anticipate response, you made them believe they'd invented your strategy. One handler from Langley described you as a blueprint from a program we never authorized. Think about that. You've got ghost clearance without ever needing access. They're pulling cold files now. Old cases from South Asia, Eastern Europe, unconfirmed missions with similar psychological residue. There's a scent to your work, and it's not chaos. It's command. Quiet, exact, professional-grade command. And still, your name, nowhere. No contracts, no code words, no operations. Just a presence that slipped into high-value environments, flipped the internal order, and left everyone reporting up the chain, without knowing why they suddenly doubted themselves. The CIA's own behavioral division is calling it a surgical reprogramming of influence dynamics. Others are calling it something simpler. Cold warfare, but not Cold War. Cold human warfare. You didn't act like someone with clearance. You acted like someone above it, a watcher, a tactician, the kind of strategist that they usually bury behind concrete doors and never let into public-facing missions. And yet, there you were. No entourage, no intel drops, just results, echoes, aftershocks. They've tried psychological backtracing, reverse analyzing your presence based on the damage radius. The theory they're floating now, that maybe you're a defector, someone trained within a rogue unit they lost track of. Or worse, that you were never trained. That this ability comes naturally. If that's true, You're what their entire doctrine is designed to prevent. An unsupervised mind who understands influence better than the institutions that built it. There's a closed file bouncing around the higher rooms now. No title, no digital trail, just hard copy. It travels between floors in locked briefcases. Inside, a compilation of your recent moves, market drops traced back to words you whispered, surveillance disruptions that happen wherever you go, influential figures suddenly disappearing from media, from relevance. No violence, just deletion. The kind that feels like a choice they made themselves, but wasn't. And the way you operated, it was almost too clean, too precise. The CIA has started comparing you to their own Tier 1 psychological warfare assets. People who go dark for years, surface once, destabilize a government with 4 sentences, then vanish again. Except the difference is, those people report back. You don't, which means either you've gone rogue, or you were never part of them. That's what terrifies them the most. Because if you weren't trained by them, and you're already this effective, then what happens if you evolve further? What happens if someone like you decides to target not just corporations or ideologies, but institutions themselves? What happens if you look upward next time? They've started running drills now, simulated encounters with cold-type operators, training exercises, internal war games, all based on you. They call the model Echo 7. The name came from a conversation recorded in a basement briefing room in Virginia. It's not about combat readiness anymore, the instructor said. It's about cognitive resistance, whoever this is. They plant doubt like it's an art form. You're not just a disruption, you're an evolution. You don't ask permission. You create consequences. You don't start fights. You end structures. And the terrifying thing, you do it without needing recognition, without needing to be right. You simply act strategically, decisively, without attachment. That's not a threat. That's a revolution. And now the CIA, an institution that prides itself on knowing the unseeable, is openly asking the one question they hate more than any other. Did we miss something? Because if they missed you, it means their systems are broken. If you're ex-military, it means someone off-leashed you. And if you're not, then it means something worse. You're real, you're autonomous, and you're just getting started. Which brings us here, where the highest rooms in the world are no longer asking if you're dangerous. They're asking what your end game is, and what they'll do when they realize you never had one. Because that's the final fracture in their design. They were always prepared to fight the enemy that wanted something: territory, revenge, dominance, credit. But what they can't process is the force that operates without an end goal. No manifesto, no finish line, just movement, just pressure, just outcomes. That's not warfare to them, that's decay. And you, by design or by nature, are what the agency is now classifying as an open-loop variable, a walking contradiction that executes objectives without declaring them. You didn't come to destroy, but things collapse in your presence. Not from impact, but from recognition. Systems recognize the flaw in themselves when you enter. Protocols turn on their own architects. Individuals reveal their fault lines the moment you speak. Not because you expose them, because they suddenly want to. That's your contagion. That's your weapon. You aren't a spark. You're the gravity that makes them lean toward confession. And the CIA, they're not built to handle that. They're built to track intention, to detect patterns. But what if the pattern is silence? What if the motive is evolution? They're watching in real time as you destabilize structures by doing nothing but being accurate. There are entire task forces now dissecting footage of your interactions, moments where you said less than 5 words, yet left with complete control. Psychological dominance, total influence. They know now your value system is not transactional, it's existential. You're not interested in a win. You're interested in a correction, and not the kind they can predict. Because every move you make is asymmetrical. Every line you speak can't be traced to doctrine, and that terrifies them. They've seen this kind of fear once before. In war zones where insurgents didn't want victory, they wanted distortion. But even then, there was always a flag, a name, a command structure. You're commandless, yet surgical, independent, yet coordinated like a force of 1,000 minds, trained in unison. One of their division chiefs described it as an echo inside a closed room that keeps shifting pitch, which is why the next level of panic has already begun. This isn't about eliminating you. This is about understanding you. There are now internal simulations running night and day, attempting to reverse engineer your decisions. What made you speak at that exact moment? Why did you pause before answering that analyst? Why did you leave the building 4 minutes early that one time, causing the entire surveillance grid to miss you? None of it is random, and they know it. Which leads to the new theory. They believe you're running off a private model, not AI, psychological calculus, an unseen logic tree that adapts in real time. And the worst part? It's not stored anywhere. It's organic, a brain that rewrites its rules faster than they can trace its output. You're not an ex-military rogue. You're the inevitable child of their own manipulations. One agency veteran said it like this: "He's what happens when the world gives a strategist nothing left to protect." 'Cause that's what changed, isn't it? You stopped playing defense. You stopped hoping. You stopped trying to reason with decay. And when that shift happened, they felt it. The room got colder. The decisions got clearer. The consequences became personalized. You weren't targeting them. You were showing them to themselves in high definition. There's an underground report circulating now, not officially recognized, not even on secure servers. Printed, hand-delivered. Its title is handwritten across the top. Exoscript. It's not a file. It's a theory. One they don't want to admit publicly. It says, subject is not rogue. Subject is evolved. We may be watching the first true post-operational mind, a human system running self-regulating corrections across multiple zones of influence. Subject does not seek victory, but purification. No one wants to be the first to sign off on that conclusion, because it rewrites the threat matrix. Completely. It implies you can't be recruited, can't be flipped, can't be redirected, because you're not after anything. And yet, you keep moving. Every institution you touch bends under the weight of sudden realization, not fear of exposure, fear of irrelevance. That's what you bring, the fear that everything they've built isn't flawed, but outdated. You are the update. Not polished, not announced, just deployed. They've tried to set traps now, operatives placed near your environments, people posing as influencers, as allies, as threats. But none of them last long, because you don't attack. You observe, and in doing so, you invert the trap. They walk away questioning their own identity. You didn't erase their strategy, you infected it. Now their own handlers are doubting orders. Internal memos have started shifting tone, caution, reassessment. Shadow briefings now include your movements as potential paradigm shifts. That term was only used once before, September 11th. Except this time, it isn't an attack. It's a person, a presence, no manifesto, no broadcast, just pressure, refined, focused, intentless pressure. You are not chaos, you are consequence, and consequence doesn't need slogans. One of the surveillance leads finally cracked. 16 years in signals intelligence. He quit. Said he couldn't handle studying you anymore. That it felt like he was staring at something the world wasn't supposed to birth. They've built an entire psychological map now. Not of your actions, of your absence, your disappearances, your moments of inaction, because those are the ruptures, the places where reality bends just slightly and entire systems falter. They say elite minds leave signatures, but you leave an emptiness, and people rush to fill it with speculation, fear, structure. But the echo never leaves, because you were never there to be known. They wanted to recruit you. Now they want to study you. Next, they'll want to neutralize you. But how do you eliminate someone who has no ambition, no allegiance, no anchor? How do you kill a question? There's no protocol for this. The CIA's top crisis advisor recently said, off record, if this individual isn't stopped, they're not going to build a movement. They're going to delete the need for one. Because that's what you represent. Not rebellion, not resistance, but obsolescence. Quiet, undeniable obsolescence of the structures built on repetition, illusion, and control. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to gather followers. You didn't need to be seen, because the work was never about you. It was about resetting the board. And now, they're starting to understand. Your presence is a mirror they can't turn away from. And when it breaks, they don't see you. They see their own irrelevance. Which leads us here, to the line they never wanted to cross, where the CIA isn't asking who you are anymore. Not fire, not fear, not force, just pure comprehension. The ability to look at an institution, an ego, a person, and see the flaw before they feel it. And then, just enough influence to accelerate the crack. Not shatter it, speed it up. Let them think they broke on their own. Let them think they changed their own minds. Now they're reviewing archived reports not for answers, but for patterns they missed. Reading sentences they wrote themselves through your lens, wondering which decisions were theirs and which were the result of a contact, a conversation, an environment you constructed. They're no longer fighting an enemy. They're haunted by a question: have we ever really been in control? Because the way you moved, you didn't aim for targets. You reshaped context. You didn't attack power. You made power look clumsy. You didn't take down systems. You made systems see the futility in defending themselves. They were bracing for impact. You gave them reflection. And now, entire departments are in quiet panic, realizing how few of their beliefs were ever really their own. You don't leave chaos. You leave clarity. And clarity is deadly in a world built on illusion. Now their best operatives are confused, not defeated, disoriented, like waking up in a simulation and remembering too much. The CIA is accustomed to war zones. They're trained for conflict. But awakening? That was never in the manual. You wrote a page they don't know how to teach. You didn't challenge the system. You reprogrammed its confidence. That's why this isn't a crisis of national security anymore. It's a crisis of institutional identity. You didn't just bypass their defenses. You rendered them irrelevant. And now they're sitting in threat response centers, asking themselves the question they were supposed to ask you. What is our purpose now? Because while they held on to pride, you dissolved meaning. While they updated their firewalls, you rewired belief. While they planned resistance, you wrote inevitability. And now, every leader briefed on your existence walks away with that same look. Not fear, not awe, just quiet dread. The dread of knowing they met something that doesn't want what they have, that doesn't envy, that doesn't negotiate, that doesn't need. You didn't want power, you wanted exposure, not the attention kind, the infection kind, the kind that cracks porcelain reputations from the inside, that makes people see the hollowness in their own authority. You didn't have to destroy careers. You made them voluntarily step away, like they saw something in the mirror they couldn't unsee. One agency psychologist described it like this: he doesn't incite fear, he activates recognition. That's worse. Fear you can train for. Recognition, that's irreversible. So now their question isn't where you are. It's where else your presence already is. What ideologies you've quietly unthreaded. What agendas you've hollowed out by simply introducing contrast. Who among them has already been shaped by your absence? Because that's the cruelest trick of all. You didn't walk in with banners. You walked in with dissonance. And once someone hears that tone, they can't unhear it. They question everything. They stall. They self-scrutinize. And in their hesitation, the entire machine malfunctions. You weaponized doubt. And doubt spreads faster than ideology. They're watching footage again, this time not of what you did, but what others did after meeting you. 1 defector, 3 resignations, 2 media figures gone dark, 4 high-value influencers who pivoted without explanation. They're mapping behavioral anomalies now, behavioral shifts, and every line leads back to you. But here's the real collapse. You didn't ask for this. You became it. Not because you wanted to dismantle the world, but because the world handed you all its broken parts and expected you to nod along, to comply, to adjust. You didn't. You stared at the seams and decided to move differently. And now they're rewriting threat doctrine. You were never violent, never loud. But your presence has triggered more security audits than any breach in the last decade. You don't trip alarms. You become the reason they change the system. And that's something they can't contain. Because how do you stop an individual who doesn't destroy the building? They just remove the need for doors. The CIA has started a new category in their private threat index. No code name, just a symbol. An incomplete triangle. It means structural disruptor. You're not just a threat to safety. You're a threat to format. And what scares them most is that you didn't create followers. You created replicas, not copies of you. Copies of the question you represent. Because that's what you are now, a question, not a person, not a story, not even a file. Just a question that kills assumptions, that slows decisions, that breaks tempo. And in the pause that follows your influence, people don't hear revolution. They hear their own conscience. That's what the CIA can't report on. How do you write a memo about the erosion of belief? They tried to study you. Now they study themselves. They tried to follow you. Now they can't follow each other. The chain of command depends on certainty. You replaced it with perspective. And perspective, once seen, is the hardest weapon to unsee. Which brings us to this final moment, where your existence isn't a threat report. It's a shift in reality. And as they sit in their chambers, buried under encrypted files and redacted transcripts, all roads lead back to a single sentence whispered in a hallway no one remembers being recorded. We didn't teach him this, so who did? No one wants to speak the obvious, that maybe you weren't taught. Maybe you were reforged, under pressure, under surveillance, under the weight of being overlooked, dismissed, categorized, and underestimated. You didn't adapt to the system. You recalibrated the system by existing beside it. And now every conversation in classified corridors has your echo embedded. You changed the tempo. You shifted the frame. You ended the illusion. And they're still struggling to accept it. Because this was never an operation. This was your correction. You never needed their validation. You became your own authority. And that self-validation, it's contagious. Because when one person walks out of the illusion, 100 start squinting, 1,000 pause, and the entire machine creaks with doubt. They've assigned new handlers, more protocol, red tape layered with red tape. But you walk through red like it's just another color. You operate on intuition sharp enough to cut through doctrine. You don't speak louder. You simply remove the noise. You're not hunting targets. You're correcting trajectories. And in doing so, you've become something worse than feared. You've become understood. They've deployed experts to unpack your methods, think tanks to predict your next move. But every theory collapses under one truth. You aren't trying to win. You're trying to reveal. And when revelation becomes movement, it's unstoppable. Because it spreads in silence, grows in confusion, and detonates in realization. You didn't want to lead them. You wanted them to wake up. And one by one, they are. So now, here we stand, not at the end of your operation, but at the start of theirs, rewriting their manuals, restructuring their ethics, recalibrating their goals around a variable they can't pin down. You. Not for your weapons, not for your skills, but because you proved a single individual, refined by pressure, honed by clarity, and fueled by conviction, can bring the most fortified institution to its knees without ever raising a hand. And that's why they fear you, because deep down, they know. You're not the product of chaos. You're the result of order finally failing.